my hands, I have a loaded weapon on me, and you wait for further instruction. You do not actively, physically resist. Now, you watch the video, and it's very, very chaotic. It may have looked like they might have disarmed this guy during the scuffle. You have whistles blowing, you can't hear anything. You hear gun, 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 gun. You know, the guy, anytime guy says gun, 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 and the subject pulls his arm back, you don't know if he's reaching, so obviously they're going to be doing a big investigation. They're going to find out what happened. We're going to look at the body cam. But it is not a clear-cut situation, and it's very divisive. It's partisan, the way they're reacting to it. And hopefully, if every side changed tactics, we can move forward and do what the American people have told the president to do, which is get these criminal illegals out of the country.
It was the reaction to the chaos that you're watching right there on the screen, Jessica, I know you want to weigh in, that led to the president making this announcement today that Tom Homan is going to Minnesota, and now the Border Patrol is leaving.
Right, the president was forced to make that decision because what happened to Alex Preddy, that he was murdered, was not divisive and was not partisan. It was clear as day, and there are video analyses up in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal have both done incredible reporting on this, that you can see clearly that an agent had taken his gun already. I think it's the one wearing the black coat. Then you have the guy with the gray coat. After the guy is shot, you're going to get 10 bullets in him, even though his hands were up. He had his phone in one hand, which you're allowed to do. You're allowed to video. The other one like this, crouched over. And then you hear another guy going, where's the gun? Where's the gun? Well, shouldn't you know that before you kill somebody?
No.
It takes a lot.
No, you shouldn't.
It takes a lot to unite the NRA and Greg Abbott and other major conservative forces in this country against the Trump administration and the way they're doing immigration enforcement. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the Fourth Amendment have all been violated by the way that they are carrying this out. And people saw it clear as day, and that's why they responded this way. And the president, who I think most of the time has better instincts than Stephen Miller or Kristi Noem, could see this for what it was and knows that there has to be a change in course. But this rush to come out and say, again, like Renee Good, that he's a domestic terrorist.
You're rushing too. You've clearly arrived at a conclusion for an investigation.
Based on watching all of the video, and the president...
Have you seen the body cam video? I was unaware you had the body cam.
You know what? It's going to exonerate all the agents. You're completely right. Stephen Miller saying an assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response, and J.D. Vance retweeting it, says something about where this administration is and how they're considering it before and after the murder of Alex Preddy. And this will go down in history as a turning point for this. Greg Bovino wouldn't be leaving tomorrow if an innocent person wasn't killed. And the double standards that are being employed for how you have to behave versus how these agents have to behave is mind-boggling to me. Kyle Rittenhouse was a conservative hero, right, for walking into a protest, actually brandishing a weapon. But this guy who had a legal permit to carry and already had his gun removed, to some people, I guess, is some sort of instigator when he was actually going to help a woman who had been pushed down and tear-gassed by ICE. We have the right to protest. That should be upheld and respected, and it is not being.
Jessica, did you call for an investigation after Renee Good? You did?
Yeah. Well,
are you calling for an investigation now, or are you just stating a conclusion? Because it seems like you've arrived at a conclusion before an investigation.
I'm saying that Jesse said this isn't divisive. This is divisive and it's partisan, and it's not.
I think it is irresponsible to call someone a domestic terrorism before you have the facts.
So you agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Stephen Miller,
but here's the point, Jessica. We've listened for 2 minutes. You are no different than Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem came out and said domestic terrorist. You are coming out and saying murderer. When you say murder, you are calling those 6 agents murderers before you have the facts. The responsible way to handle this is to say, one, it is a tragedy anytime a U.S. citizen dies. It is a tragedy that Renee Good died. It is a tragedy that Alex Preddy died. Number 2, we call for an investigation because we don't arrive at conclusions. We don't call people domestic terrorists who were killed before investigations. Disagree with the administration on that. So too does President Trump and on Renee Good.
No, well, he didn't on Renee Good.
But you are not calling for an investigation. You are retracting into partisan talking points by coming out and calling these guys murderers. We don't know the facts. A responsible thing is an investigation. President Trump has been the most responsible person in all of this. Today, Caroline was asked, what do you say when Kristi Noem says there was maximum damage? And they said, Trump wants an investigation and to let the facts lead. What do you think about calling them domestic terrorists? I have not heard Donald J. Trump characterize Alex Preddy that way. Donald Trump is responsible. You know who's not? Walz. I was on the airwave when this broke. 11:03 a.m. The White House called Walz. They were trying to defuse this. Walz comes out and says thousands of violent, untrained officers are out in Minnesota. One responsible party, the president. Did those underneath him act irresponsibly? Yes. But Walz and Donald Trump, don't even put them in the same camp. Donald Trump's leading. You are no different, I'm sorry, than Kristi Noem.
Real quick, as the one person who carries a gun just about every single day, I'm not in this city, and the one person that's been in a similar situation holding a gun while people are riding, and perhaps the one person who understands, I don't want to say one, but someone here who understands this a little bit because I've been in that situation. There's a couple of things. Number one, the Second Amendment is a right. I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. You have the right to carry a weapon to defend yourself, not the privilege. It is a right. Those rights come with restrictions. I think you would understand that more than anyone at this table. One of those restrictions is you have to have your ID and your permit on you. We don't know. Current reports are he didn't have either one of those on, at which point he's not carrying legally. But number two, even beyond that, with the right to carry a firearm comes the responsibility to do it correctly and to do it with foresight and to do it understanding the situation you're walking into and what could happen once you get there. Just about every state offers a class on that. And if you carry a firearm, you should take that class. And if your state charges you for it, you should go protest for that class to be taxpayer funded because it is a right. So that's important. We can talk about policy all day long. There's only one person in this world that could have absolutely prevented Alex Pretty from getting shot that day, and it's Alex Pretty. That doesn't mean I think he should have been shot. I don't think it was necessary whatsoever to shoot Alex Pretty to save a life. But I get to watch that incident from behind Alex Pretty, not as one of the arresting officers, and not as potentially the person that I believe from looking at the video did shoot him. Why does he have 10 rounds in him? Because if you have to shoot anybody once, you better shoot him enough to kill him, because if you're shooting somebody, you think they're trying to kill you. Every police officer in this country is taught that. If you want to change that, go lobby to have it changed. Why was he shot? He was shot because of the reasonableness clause, the reasonableness doctrine. The Supreme Court decided this, which is the fact that if you are a police officer conducting police work and someone has, and it's explicitly outlined, someone has resisted arrest, violently or not, disobeyed orders, and shown the means to harm you, then you have the ability to protect yourself. Now, do I think he should have been shot? No, because I see 10 things that happened before that happened that could have been handled differently. But what I don't see are the 10 minutes before that happened. You call him a protester, I call him an agitator. He showed up with a cell phone. He showed up in the middle of the street, in the middle of an operation. That's common sense. I don't care what your passions are. To carry a weapon on your person and to get in the middle of a police operation, whether you believe it or not, that is lawful, 100%. Another way it could have been prevented is if there was a police cordon from Minneapolis Police Department stopping people from, like Alex Pretty, from getting in the middle of the operation rather than holding a sign and speaking loudly and proudly from 100 feet away. That is the end of the story. There might even be a federal agent that goes to jail because some jury or a federal investigation decides he acted prematurely or shot him and shouldn't have. I'm not arguing or disputing that because I haven't seen the investigation. But I know for a fact Alex Pretty had no business where he was in that moment. I know for a fact that he did resist arrest. And if you are carrying lawfully, the moment you resist arrest, you are now carrying unlawfully, to the point that in the state of Minnesota, your carry permit is revoked in that moment. So the point here is, nobody's condemned in this other than the politicians that let it happen. Yep. And if for you that's Donald Trump, and if for you that's Tim Walz, as an American citizen, I'm glad both of them talked today. This doesn't ever need to happen again. Border Patrol agents need to get to the border and do their job. Minneapolis Police Department, all 600 of them if they need to be there to help ICE surgically extract people like, what's his name, Jose Huerta Chuma, who is what violent rap sheet that includes domestic assault involving intentional bodily harm. I don't care who you are in this country, but if you're willing to risk your life for that person, whatever happens to you, my sympathy goes down quite a bit. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I love people. I even love bad people. But for God's sake, have some common sense. That's your responsibility, especially if you're carrying a weapon, and that was not exercised, and I can't help that.
Okay, let's get going to the rest of the show coming up.